One-step conversions. So in this, we're going to do some conversions. So let me go over something that's very, basic, and we're not going to deal with this, but to help you understand the concept. So a lot of times we say we have 12 eggs, right? If we had a carton, right, there is, right, probably the worst carton ever drawn, but you get it. There's 12 eggs in there. But another way we could say that is there's 1 dozen eggs, right? That means the exact same thing. 1 dozen means 12. If you ask for a dozen eggs, you're gonna get this, right? You're gonna get the same thing. Just a little bit bigger container. And then another way we can also say it is there's also a carton of eggs. So it means the same thing. So these three different things mean the exact same thing. It doesn't change, right? If you say you have 12 eggs or a dozen, it's not that they're different, they're the same, it's just a different way to express it. So that's how we're going to deal with conversions. We're going to ask, something's going to be given to us in one measurement, and we're going to convert it into another measurement, but they mean the exact same measurement, right? Nothing changes, it's just to express it differently. So let's look at the first example. So example 1, if you say you're 60 inches tall, how tall are you in feet? Well, what's the relationship that we need to understand, right? Well, it's inches and feet. So 12 inches is equal to 1 foot, right? This is for inches and this is for feet. Now, remember at the very beginning of the workbook, right, you can go ahead and download maybe the PDF, or maybe you have it, but at the very beginning you have all these different conversions, and there's usually two different, like there's two copies of it, so you can pull one out and make it a lot easier, because then you can go ahead and put it into your workbook on this area. So now if we know 12 inches equals to 1 foot, now we need to go set up our conversion. So how we do that is we go ahead and we start with 60 inches, right? So we have 60 inches and we need to get to feet. So how do we do that? Well, this is the relationship that we need. So how we do this is we need to get rid of inches, right? Right? We've done this before where when things can be, right, when things are 1 over itself, or like this where we can cancel it out, right? Before we even multiply like this. So we have to put the inches on the bottom, and then that means that the 1 foot is on the top. So why can we do this, right? It's kind of going back to the very beginning. 12 eggs or 1 dozen mean the exact same thing. So if we say it's 1 foot or 12 inches, that's really essentially all we're doing is multiplying it by 1. It doesn't change anything, right, other than we're going to go ahead and express it differently. So 60 inches, right, well, the inches cross out, we're left with feet, and then we're left with 60 times 1, so that's 60, and then 12 on the bottom, and then we're left with feet. Now 60 divided by 12, right, if we get our calculators out, 60 divided by 12, and we get 5. So we get 5 feet. Now let's go ahead and look at the next example. So example 2, a baby is born in Canada and weighs 3.8 kilograms. How much does the baby weigh in pounds? So notice, right, something very different, right? So kilograms is part of the metric system, and then we in America measure things differently. We call those the SI units. And so most of the world lives on the metric system. So a lot of times we're going to be having to convert between the two different systems. So if a baby's born in Canada, they weigh it in kilograms, right? In America, we're going to weigh them in pounds. So let's go ahead and convert this into pounds so we know how much that is. So 3.8 kilograms, right? We shorten into kg. Now, if we are given this relationship and we have 3.8 kilograms to start with, right, we're going to use this as a fraction. So how do we do that? Let's go ahead and put the 1 kilogram on the bottom. And then that means we're going to put the 2.2 pounds on the top. So this is how we show pounds. Now, why do we do that, right? Why do we put the 1 kilogram on the bottom? Well, then we can cancel out the units. This is the most important thing, is you want to end up with your units on the top. So in order to get there, we had to put the kilograms there because we started with kilograms and then we ended up with pounds on the top, which is what we want. And so this problem now becomes 3.8 times 2.2, which is 8.36. And then this is just over 1, so we can just leave it as is. And this is in pounds, right? So that's how much the baby weighs. And we might just say 8.4 pounds, but we're going to go round to the nearest hundredth. So let's look at one final example. So example 3, a baby's born and is 50 centimeters long. Let's convert 50 centimeters to inches. So once again, metric system, and then we're going to go ahead and convert to our system. So we have 50, right, and we're going to go cm. So we have 50 cms. That's what we are starting with. And we need to get to inches, right? So centimeters, and we need to get to inches. Well, what's the relationship between centimeters and inches? So we can go ahead and look at our conversion sheet and see that 2.54 centimeters is equal to 1 inch. So these, right, this is our conversion that we're going to use. So we see this is our relationship, and we can go ahead and use it. So we can either use it like this, right, over 1 inch, or we can use 1 inch over 2.54 centimeters, right? By multiplying, it doesn't change anything. We're just going to go ahead and express it differently. But we need to pick which one works for this problem. So when we look at this, we are starting out with 50 centimeters, and we need to pick either this one or this one. Well, if we need to get centimeters then on the bottom in order to get rid of them here, we're going to pick the second one. So 1 inch over 2.54 centimeters. Now let's go ahead and cancel out, right? Centimeters cancel out. Now we're left with inches. So now we're left with 50 times 1, so that's 50 over 2.54, and this is in inches. So what does that become? We'll get our calculators out. 50 divided by 2.54, and we're left with 19.69. But let's just go ahead and round to the nearest tenth. So 19.7. So 19.7 inches. So that is how long the baby is.